And you procrastinating for a year to get this project started means thousands of people not getting helped because you have something really special and valuable to offer to the world. Procrastination, perfectionism stems from shame and insecurity. So whenever you're doing something to avoid something, that's a sign like, red flag, this isn't maybe a very good motive. If it's not showing up in your dream picture, why are you giving it so much time in your present? You will know. You don't watch these videos because you don't want to do it. You don't watch these videos because you want someone to tell you, oh, it's too risky, don't do it. Hey everybody, I'm Alexis. This is our neighborhood cat Pook back there. It's not our cat, but she's in there hanging out. So I want to talk to you about how I overcame procrastination, and I want to talk about some of the things that I feel like procrastinators, perfectionists, even a lot of high achievers have in common, and how basically I got over it. And really what the motivator and the root cause of all of these, and then just kind of 4 ways that you can beat them, and live the life that you want to live. So let's get into it. First off, that procrastinators and perfectionists and a lot of high achievers all have something in common, and that is they're motivated by shame. I mean, if you're procrastinating, you're worried that you're not going to be good enough. It's a fear of failure. So your inaction is a shield kind of preventing you from feeling ashamed and failure, and it's a means of self-protection. For perfectionists, it can be the same thing. They don't want people to criticize them or to be rejected, and so they perfect everything as another way to shield themselves from harm, to be above reproach. And the same thing I would say with high achievers. Some people have so much shame that they really go after achieving really high things and they work themselves to death, and then that's how they get their success. So I would say that all 3 of those can be coping mechanisms for the same thing, which is shame. So I think it's so important to get a handle on that shame and to really get to the bottom of who you are so that you can go out and do these things. You know what I mean? If you're a procrastinator, you want to go make the thing. If you're a perfectionist, you want to have self-acceptance and be able to be proud of things you've done when you get the final product. If you're a high achiever, you want to be able to relish in that success without this looming feeling that you could just lose it in one moment with the next project or the next mistake. So one thing I first off want to say is that action is self-correcting. So I think sometimes we procrastinate because we're like, okay, if I do this project, then this is the trajectory I'm gonna go, and if it's even 1% off where I want it to be, then by the time we get there, we're gonna be miles and miles off the target. But the thing is, that's not really how life works. It's not like you set a course and you have to follow that course for 20 years, and if you were this much off, then 20 years from now, your life is gonna be ruined. That's just not how it is. When you take an action, humans are more like self-correcting. So when you sit there and you're like, okay, I have to figure out the master plan and I don't want to get started yet, there's too many variables. When you are sitting there in your head and you're thinking of all the things that could go wrong in the next 20 years, that seems really complicated. So what it's better to do is just take the little actions, and it will self-correct itself along the way. And I think one thing that a lot of procrastinators and perfectionists, like the reason they're putting it off is because they want it to be such a high quality. I don't want to take those pictures, or I don't want to make these YouTube videos, or whatever it is, because it needs to be of a certain quality. And it does suck to look at some of your work and for it to not meet your standards. But at the same time, the crappy work that's in the real world is better than this imaginary perfect work that's in your head. Quantity leads to quality, but it's like the one precedes the other. You can't expect to just first run out of the get perfect quality. So what you have to be okay with is doing tons and tons and tons of quantity, and eventually the quality will get there. I mean, if you look at the most successful YouTubers, they've been on here for like 10 years. And then the ones who just started a couple months ago are comparing themselves to them, and they're like, oh, why am I not that good? It's because of the quantity, just the sheer number of videos that they put out and the practice that they've done is what gets them that far. So I would say step 1, since procrastinating, perfectionism, and high achieving can be a shield, step 1 is just to put that shield down, is to say, okay, I'm willing to take a couple hits. I am more vulnerable when I put my shield down, but I live a more real, authentic life, and people get to see me and who I am, and I get to bring value into the world. Because if you don't put that shield down and you keep procrastinating and being a perfectionist, there are thousands of people that you are meant to help serve in your life, and you're meant to help because you can bring them along where you've been, that they're not getting served. And you procrastinating for a year to get this project started means thousands of people not getting helped because you have something really special and valuable to offer to the world. So it's so important that you put that shield down for the sake of everyone else. And the hits will not be that bad. It is a little bit of a blow to your ego at first. And I think honestly that's good for people because a lot of procrastination, perfectionism stems from shame and insecurity. And on the other side of that coin is pride and ego. And really what it is I'm so insecure of not being seen as awesome. So whenever people are really insecure, they're also really prideful at the same time. And so sometimes it's good to put that shield down and to actually take the hits and get the criticism, because then you can get things more in check. When you're not experiencing so much pride and ego, you're also not going to experience so much insecurity, because insecurity is a lot of self-focusedness, and that's basically what pride is. I would say that's a good first step, is to just take the action, put the shield down, get some criticism. It's really good for your ego to kind of get that in check. The second thing that I think you need to do is you need to play on the offensive, not the defensive. I think so many procrastinators and perfectionists, high achievers, they are playing not to fail. They're playing not to hate themselves or to not feel shame or to not mess up, and they're doing everything they can to not get it in late and not do it poorly. But it's really important to actually get a vision. What are you doing this for? This dream that you have that you want to take over the next 20 years or whatever, you need to sit down and have a vision casting session. Just go to a coffee shop and figure out, what is the point of doing this whole thing? And it's not to avoid something. So whenever you're doing something to avoid something, that's a sign like, red flag, this isn't maybe a very good motive if you are doing this thing to avoid something bad. So what you have to do is vision cast and figure out, what is the good thing that I really want to go after? And just find something that really excites you, a clear vision that you're emotionally attached to, that excites you, that will keep you going. Okay, so the third thing I want you to do is I want you to make a table, and I want you to write out, if I don't do the thing or if I do it, what is the worst case scenario in both of those columns? And when I wrote out, I was basically writing out, should I keep doing YouTube or should I not? And when I wrote out worst case scenario for each, the worst case scenario of me not doing it was burnout, continuing to live a jaded life, regret, always wondering what if, feeling like I'm not truly myself. And as I just kept going on, just kind of kept going where my mind was leading me, it got very, very depressing when I realized if I didn't do it, this awful thing is going to happen. Worst case scenario for doing YouTube is like, I wasted a couple hours, I got better public speaking skills, I got better persuasiveness, built a lot of editing skills. So I would do that, and I think that the fear of doing something and not being very good all of a sudden seems really small when you look at the fear of living a life that you hate and doesn't feel in alignment with who you are. And then the last thing, I just would say, simply look at what your avoidance strategies are. Like when you look at the life that you really want to live 20 years from now, when you get crystal clear on that picture, there are some things that you just don't naturally tend to picture. Like when I picture myself 20 years from now, I don't picture myself scrolling on social media, yet it's a part of people's day-to-day lives. When I picture my dream life 20 years from now, I don't picture myself watching TV. And it doesn't mean that any of those things are bad, but it just means if it's not showing up in your dream picture, why are you giving it so much time in your present? I think for most people, they're avoidance strategies. And it's just like TV, video games, playing on your phone, cleaning. There are lots of different things that are fine in and of themselves, but if you're using them as an avoidance tactic, they're absolutely not fine, and it's a red flag. Stop for a second and assess like what's going on in your life. So I would just learn for you, what are some things that you do when you're avoiding something that you want to do? Where do you turn when there's something you know you need to do, but you want to distract yourself? And I would try to really limit yourself. Like for me, I learned it was Instagram. For the last 2 weeks, I haven't been on it, and I've gotten a lot more done. I felt a lot more energized, not because Instagram's bad, but just because when I picture my dream life, it's not in that picture. And so I don't want it to be a substantial part of my present. So all that to say is that you have what it takes. And I know that you are probably procrastinating or being a perfectionist or maybe chasing those goals because you don't feel good enough as you are. And I just want to tell you that you are braver than you know. You are stronger than you know. Like there is something deep inside you. Inside every person who has ever accomplished something great, there is a scared little kid that doesn't want to do it and wants to just kind of maybe avoid or use whatever coping mechanisms that they've developed to avoid it. But you can do it. I firmly believe that everyone is capable of doing great things. And on the flip side, if you don't do it, you will know. You don't watch these videos because you don't want to do it. You don't watch these videos because you want someone to tell you, oh, it's too risky, don't do it. What you want is for someone to tell you, hey, you are good enough, you can do it, go after it and do it. And that's basically what I'm here to tell you. You can live a transformed life. You can go from someone who put things off and avoided them and was scared of doing the hard things to someone who loves their life and who knows what they're made of and is doing the things that they want to do, is in charge of their life and feels in alignment with their values. And that is exactly what I want for you. Let me know in the comments whatever you thought of this video. I really appreciate you guys. I love some of the comments you guys have been leaving. I think I'm going to start pinning like my favorite comments because they're so, like, a lot of the comments are just really insightful. Like those ones I really like, is when they like take something and really bring some insight from it. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.